India has announced that it will join the sanctions against Russia and has instructed all Indian banks not to violate the financial sanctions against Russia. India's petroleum imports will not exceed the G7's crude oil price limit against Russia, which is no higher than $60 per barrel. At the same time, India has also warned Indian banks and traders to avoid using the yuan as much as possible. This is the first time India has joined the Western camp to impose sanctions against Russia since the outbreak of the Russo-Ukrainian war. Modi finally parted ways with Russia. Why did India join the sanctions against Russia? Isn't India afraid of Russian retaliation? Okay, that and more is exactly what we are going to talk about. Let's get started. In South Asia, India has always been a traditional partner of Russia and a card used by Russia to restrain China and build regional balance in Asia. During the Cold War, the Soviet Union provoked India to encroach on China's southwestern territory and triggered the Sino-Indian War. Today, the Soviet Union has disintegrated and Russia has inherited it, becoming India's largest arms supplier. The Indo-Russian military cooperation covers the land, sea, and air forces of India, and even India's only nuclear submarine available for combat, the Chakra-2, is leased from Russia. India is highly dependent on Russian military products. Is India not afraid that Russia will cut off the supply of core components? From a historical perspective, when the Soviet Union was strong, India became a cash cow-type partner of the Soviet Union, and when the Soviet Union declined, India often sucked blood from the Soviet Union while lying on its corpse. When the Soviet Union disintegrated and the ruble plummeted, India took a big advantage from Russia. Due to its unique geographical location, India has a natural advantage in international positioning. It is not dependent on the Soviet Union or the United States. Since its independence, India has played a tumbler strategic balance for half a century. During the Cold War, China was forced to take sides under the pressure of the US military. Later, after the Sino-Soviet relations broke down, China was forced to fight two territorial retaliation wars with India and Vietnam. In between, China fought a battle to defend the Treasure Island with the Soviet Army. It was not until the end of the Vietnam War and the easing of US-China relations that China turned to the United States again and gradually entered a honeymoon period with the United States. It was difficult for China to be friends with both the United States and the Soviet Union at the same time. India is different, located in South Asia, with China to the east, Afghanistan to the north, and the Middle East to the west. In South Asia, India is the most powerful. For the United States and the Soviet Union, if they want to go to the Middle East to fight, they must win over India. If they want to restrain China, they must also win over India. Since its inception, India has been swinging between the two sides, helping whoever wins. At the end of the Cold War, instead of helping and supporting Russia, India quickly took advantage of the ruble depreciation. India has begun implementing financial sanctions and oil price limits on Russia, following a similar strategy used against China. India will not support Russia in its battle against the world and will instead do all it can to drain Russia's resources. India already gets a 30% discount when buying Russian oil, which it then resells for a profit. However, India still joins the G7 in imposing oil price limits on Russia, so it can buy more oil for less than $60 per barrel, further increasing its profits. Russia faces several problems. Its military spending is enormous, its financial resources are limited, and it cannot afford to stop exporting oil, even if it means selling it at a lower price. After losing the EU as a major customer, Russia has only two major clients left, China and India. However, China implements an energy diversification strategy, and Russia's ability to supply energy to China is limited. China has always implemented an energy diversification strategy. Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Iran, Kuwait, Qatar, the United States, Australia, and Kazakhstan are all important energy suppliers to China. The energy orders that China can distribute to Russia are very limited. At this time, Russia has no way to cut off energy supply to India. If Russia does not sell, India can turn around and buy Middle East oil from Saudi Arabia, Iraq, and Iran next door. In this industrial age, only top-notch technology is irreplaceable, and as a basic raw material, oil is too replaceable. The Middle East, South America, South China Sea, Northern Europe, North Africa, and other regions are rich in oil everywhere. The only things you can't buy are nuclear submarines, nuclear aircraft carriers, space stations, 5G chips, lithography machines, and other top technologies. The oil market itself is a buyer's market, not a seller's market. This is also the prerequisite for China to implement the energy import diversification strategy. Obviously, seeing that Russia is deeply involved in the Russo-Ukrainian war and its international status has seriously declined, India immediately sided with the West and eroded Russia's economic interests together. In the future, after the end of the Russo-Ukrainian war, Russia will not be able to tear itself apart with India, but will continue to strengthen cooperation with India. Because Russia's economy is completely bound by energy. Without selling energy, although the Russians will not starve to death, they will not be able to achieve the development of the national economy and can only stay on the line of food and clothing. Simply put, India pinpoints the lifeline of Russia's energy economy. In terms of geostrategy, Russia has not yet allowed India to fall to the West in an all-round way. India is not only a major Russian oil customer, but also a major Russian arms customer. Losing India, a major customer, will cause huge losses in Russia's arms exports and oil exports. When the Russo-Ukrainian war is over, Russia will have to pull India, and may export nuclear submarines to India. After all, one has already been leased, and it is entirely possible to sell another one later. In this world, what can be rented out can often be sold. Russia needs to use arms exports to make money back from oil losses. When the Soviet Union disintegrated, the rubles that India earned from Russia were later taken back by Russia with arms exports. This cycle is still valid today. By leaning towards the West, India can obtain the support of advanced Western weapons and buy more advanced European and American weapons and equipment, including the F-35 stealth fighter jet. Lockheed Martin of the United States has begun to sell F-35 stealth fighter jets to India. Purely in terms of geographical conditions, India is highly flexible and has far fewer international challenges than China. But the side effects are also obvious. Because of the loose external environment, the determination of Indians to develop independent industries is not strong enough. Instead, they are deeply dependent on Western technology and cannot extricate themselves. Strategically, India lacks concentration and foresight. When there is an opportunity, it will make a fortune, jump left and right, and benefit for a while. Therefore, it is difficult for India to obtain sustainable national competitiveness in the competition among major powers. Okay, that's all for today. Please put your comments below, and share your insightful ideas with other people. Do you want to learn about more auto stories? Please keep following our channel and like our videos. Thank you so much for your continuous support. Your precious time with us is highly appreciated. See you.